Alright guys, I believe you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I've started recording also. Um so starting from the question that you asked for the weight status. So let's just quickly go to the man page of weight. So let's do so we can see wait for process. Okay, yes, so we can see that since this is what we are looking at, this one, PID weight. So you can see that it can take an integer, it can accept the address of an integer or the pointer to an integer. It can accept that. So that means that if you are passing this as a pointer, if you are passing in the address, so that means you are passing it by reference. So if I tell you are passing anything by reference, that means you intend to change the value from the function. You intend to change the value of whatsoever is being pointed to. So in order to use this, I want to, let me do it this way. Good. Let's create something shortly. Before I create, okay, let me just scroll down. You see, I want to see where the value is. Weight. Okay, so here, so this is it. So it says if W status is not null, then the weight or weight PID stores the information stores the status information. So stores the status information in the int to which it points. This integer can be inspected with the following macros. So you have to call this. So it's a macro, or should I say it's a macro function, or a macro, or a function like macro, or I can't remember the specific name that we use for those type of macros. But you just have to put this, and you pass in now not the address but that integer. So this one is going to read through if the child terminated normally, that is if exits 3 or exit 2. Okay, that is by calling exit 3 or exit 2. So let's see what these exits mean. So void exit, and then you pass the status. So exit terminates the process immediately, and any open file descriptors belonging to the process are closed, and any children of the process are inherited by init or by the nearest sub-reaper process as defined through the use of that. So the value, status, and this is returned to the parent process as the now the value, status, and this means this is a bit process. This is a bit yes, it's a bit manipulation. So this is a bit arithmetic. So they are going to use one to mask this. should I call it a mask, or they are going to do and one. So of course, everywhere there is one becomes one, and if there is zero, it also returns zero. So that's what this is going to that's what this will produce. So is returned to the parent process as the process exit status, and can be controlled by the parent using one of the wait family calls. So let's see how. Let's still continue reading. So you can see another thing is WE exit status. So it returns the exit status of the child. This consists of the least significant 8 bits of the status statement that the child specifies in a call to exit 3 or distance. So the macro should be employed if Wi-Fi exited returned true. So let's try to do this with the help of a program. So I want to run a program first. So I'm going to create another program. Let me use another process to create another program. So I want to create a program, and then that program will just be exit.
Hello? Auntie, good afternoon. You know Food Union? Okay. There's this street. That's Food Union Street. Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, I want to make a program that would just exit, and then we'll have an exit status. So I'll put exit 98 here. So the program just exits. That's all. That's all the program does. It just exits. So if I compile the exit program, so you can see the program does nothing, but it just exits. So if I come back here, so let me just do char path equals to, so it's going to be the same, path. So just do this. Sorry, wrong. Then we can now have our so right here I'm going to call a fork, right? Remember, I'm calling a fork so that So if you have been following me, you know we have declared status here, right? But we did not pass any value to status. We don't need to pass any value to it yet. All we just need is the address. So we'll put the address there. So we can now say we will look into this place here. There are macros. There are macros. There are macro functions actually. So you can see the first one. So the first one returns true if the program terminated normally by calling exit. So remember we called exit on our program. So if we go back here, so we can decide to say if wife exited. Okay, so this time around we are not passing the address again, so we're just going to pass the value. You can say print so this one now, this thing says this W exit status, it says returns the exit status of the child. So this consists of the least significant 8 bits of the status argument. So let's see what that will print. So this one says returns if the child was terminated by a signal. This one says returns the number of the signal that turns the child to. So basically you use this if it exited via exit. That's where you use these two. This one will tell you that yes, it exited via exit, or no, it did not exit via exit. While this one will tell you that if this exited via exit, you can now say, okay, let me print the least significant 8 bits of that status. So you say this macro should only be employed if this returned true. So this one also, they said this macro should only be employed if this returned true. So they are actually paired macro functions. This one says W call dump, says returns true if child produce a call dump. And this one says says returns true if child process was stopped by delivery of a signal. So all of them, you can just read through all of them, and then if at all you need this information in your logic, that is when it would actually be required. So I can say exited correctly, and then I can now say return status value is %d . Then we now call, we have to call this one W exit status. Okay. I hope there is no error. Okay, there is no error there. So can you see? Exited correctly. Status value is 98. Mr. Adil.
Oh yes, we use the exit status.
Yes, so you can read, you use that status to read the exit status of the program that you run.
Yes, which is 98.
Yes, because I set 98 there. So if I go back to this, if I go back here, let me edit that Emacs. So let's say I call this, let's change this to 50. So if I go back to run this program, you see now we get exit value is 50. You know, there are sometimes in your shell when you're running bash, if you remember the basic shell classes we had, there are times that you could try to read the return value of a particular program. So if you want to implement such a thing, you can always store this somewhere. You can store this, you can always store this status in your shell. You can always store the exit status of any program that ran inside a variable in your shell. And anytime you call, you can write a program that's an inbuilt program that you would use to read that exit status. Do you understand?
Yes, I know. Thank you.
All right, so I think that's about that for the weight. The next thing is we can go ahead